They called her the apple woman. Her smile was gentle, her fruit sweet, but no one in Umoma knew the price of every bite. 15 years ago, they had cast out a young orphan named Ogechi. Now she had returned with a basket full of beauty and a heart full of vengeance. If only they knew what she sells to them as apple. The sun was setting low behind the dusty roofs of Umoma village when a 16-year-old Ogechi sat quietly beside a broken clay pot, watching the clouds fade into orange. Her face was young, beautiful, but carried a sadness that seemed too heavy for someone her age. Ogechi had lost everything. Her father and her pregnant mother had died together in a terrible motor accident. That night, the neighbors found Ogechi kneeling on the ground, refusing to move, staring at the bloodstained road where her parents had breathed their last. Since that day, her life changed completely. Her only surviving relative was her mother's elder sister, Aunt Chizoba, a woman known for her wealth and pride. She was married to one of the richest men in the village, Chief Obidike. They lived in a big house with tall gates, tiled floors, and 2 children, Chiamaka, who was Ogechi's age, and Noso, her younger brother. When Ogechi's parents died, Aunt Chizoba did not want to take her in. "She's not my responsibility," she had told her husband. But Chief Obidike insisted. "She is your blood," he said firmly. "What will people say if we abandon her?" So unwillingly, Aunt Chizoba agreed. But from the first day Ogechi entered that house, she realized she was not welcomed. At first, she thought she had found a home. She smiled when she saw the big house and the shining tiles. But the smile faded before the first night ended. And Chizoba gave her a small mat to sleep outside on the veranda. "You will stay there," she said coldly. "This house is not a free lodge." From that day, Ogechi's life became a story of pain. Every morning before sunrise, she woke up to fetch water, sweep the compound, wash piles of clothes, and cook food she would never be allowed to eat first. While Chiamaka, her cousin, painted her nails or scrolled through her phone, Ogechi would be scrubbing floors with listed hands. Her aunt's voice followed her everywhere, shouting, insulting, commanding. "You lazy girl, you eat my food and still walk like a snail. Move faster before I give you the cane." When visitors came, Aunt Chizoba would pretend to be kind. "Ogechi, my dear, bring more rice for our guest," she'd say sweetly. But behind closed doors, she'd beat her until her skin stung with red marks. Ogechi was supposed to be in school. She was in SS1 before her mother died. But when she begged her aunt to let her return, Chizoba laughed. "School? For what exactly?" "So you can waste my husband's money. You're already lucky to be eating in this house. Don't be ungrateful." Ogechi stopped asking. At night, when the stars filled the sky, she lay on the cold veranda floor, whispering to herself, "Maybe tomorrow will be better." But tomorrow always came with the same pain, shouting, beatings, hunger. Sometimes, she looked at the gate of the mansion and imagined walking far away, where nobody knew her, where she could breathe freely and sleep in peace. But she was only 16. She had nowhere to go. Still, Ogechi never stopped believing. Somewhere inside her, hope lived quietly. The kind of hope that refuses to die, even in darkness. Ogechi's suffering did not end. If anything, it grew worse. Her cousins Chiamaka and Noso joined their mother in making her life a living hell. While Chiamaka lounged and laughed with friends, Ogechi scrubbed, sweat, and carried heavy loads from dawn till dusk. Noso pulled at her skirts and called her names. The house, with its high gates and polished floors, felt like a prison with no doors. Chief Obidike, and Chizoba's husband, was hardly ever home. He left for business and returned only once each month, staying a week, then gone again. His absence made it easier for Chizoba to hide the truth. She hated Ogechi with a poison that had been brewing for years. Chizoba's hatred for Ogechi was deep. Ogechi reminded her of her mother Ebube, more beautiful than Chizoba, the woman men admired back in the day. Chizoba had loved a man named Ekene, But Ekene never loved Chizoba. He loved Ebube and married her. That pain ate Chizoba for years. Seeing Ogechi, Ebube's daughter, made the anger and jealousy burn hotter. Like mother, like daughter, she told herself, murmuring, she will snatch everything. I must remove this girl from my house before she takes everything away from me just like her wicked mother. So Chizoba made a plan. One hot evening, Chief Obidike returned from his tree. He needed to take his bath before eating. But his wife was nowhere to be seen. He then sent Ogechi to go and run a hot bath for him. Ogechi quickly rushed to his bathroom to run a hot bath, just as he asked. While she was fixing him a hot bath in the bathroom, she heard her auntie's voice calling her from outside. Ogechi, come and dish out food for my husband. Ogechi immediately rushed out of the bathroom, unknown to her that Chief was already in the bedroom with his towel on, also rushing to the bathroom. They jumped into each other. Ogechi slipped, and Chief Obidike caught her so she wouldn't fall. Immediately, Chizoba rushed in and saw the sight. She screamed, "You little witch! What are you doing with my husband? So you want to snatch my husband away from me, Ekwa? Is that what your heart of a mother taught you?" Ogechi started crying. "It's not what you think, Auntie. I was rushing to answer you and I slept. Chief was just trying to help me. Please believe me, Auntie," she pleaded. Chief interrupted. "Please, honey, it's not what you think. The poor girl was rushing to answer you. I didn't even know she was still in the bathroom." Chizoba cut in. "Of course. How would you know she's still in the bathroom? Because this is her plan. She has planned to collect my husband from me. This little wench." Chief Obidike tried again. "Don't make a big deal out of this, Chizoba." But Chizoba refused. "Don't make excuses for her. I am not going to listen to you, my husband. I am not going to listen to you today. This girl will pay for what she has done." She rushed out of the bedroom. If only Chief Obidike and Ogechi knew. This was all Chizoba's carefully curated plan. Chizoba ran to the village square, screaming and crying. "Everybody come, oh! I only wanted to help my niece. She's the only daughter of my younger sister. I wanted to give her the life she deserved because she's an orphan. But this girl is a witch." People gathered. "How? What happened? What is the problem?" they asked. Chizoba answered, "It's Ogechi, oh, my younger sister's daughter. This girl came into my house to steal my husband. You won't believe what I caught that girl doing." Then she narrated everything to the villagers, and she added stew and pepper and even salt to sweeten the story. She embellished and painted the scene until it sounded worse than it was. The villagers were shocked. "How could this little girl snatch your husband?" one woman asked. They stormed into Chizoba's house and dragged Ogechi out. They wanted to stone her to death because in their village, it was a taboo to be with a married woman's husband. They didn't even ask for Ogechi's side. The chief couldn't do anything at this point. He kept quiet. Ogechi was pleading, crying and begging. "It's not what you think." But no one listened. They wanted to stone her to death, to cleanse the land from any curse. Then Chizoba begged them to stop, pretending to care. "Please, my people, forgive her. She's only a small girl. She's the only daughter of my younger sister, whom I love so much with all my heart. Please do not stone her to death." The villagers were moved by her plea. They said to Ogechi, "You see, your aunt is such a good woman. Even after everything, she forgives you and begged for your life. You should be more grateful. But you cannot stay in this village anymore. If you are caught by dawn, you'll be burnt alive." Ogechi cried bitterly. Chizoba also cried, faking concern. She hugged Ogechi tightly. "I don't want you to go," she said out loud, pretending. But when her mouth was close to Ogechi's ear, she whispered, "That serves you right, you little witch. Your mother collected the only man I ever loved. Now I have condemned her only daughter. Tit for tat, rot in hell." Ogechi was shocked. She couldn't believe her aunt would go this far. The villagers pursued her and she left, wandering into the night. Ogechi wandered and wandered. She had nowhere to go. No one would take her in. Not after Chizoba's lies. Her only relative were the ones who had pushed her out. She walked until her legs ached and the sun sank low. At last, she stumbled upon a river. It was late, and she was so hungry and tired, she could barely stand. She had no choice. She bent and scooped water with her hands and drank, hoping to find a little strength in it. unknown to her. This was a forbidden river, a place where no one came and no one drank. But the water tasted different from any she had known. It filled her with relief and a warmth she had never felt. She drank and drank until her thirst was gone. Suddenly, the river rippled open. From the center rose a figure, not an old woman, nor a spirit alone, but a river goddess, a mermaid, beautiful and terrible at once. In daylight she was radiant, now she was furious. "Who dares drink from this sacred river?" the mermaid asked with a voice like water breaking on rock. Ogechi was frozen with fear. She wanted to run, but could not move. She dropped to her knees. "Please forgive me," she cried. "I didn't mean to. I was so tired and hungry. I had nowhere to go. I was banished from my village." "Is that so?" the mermaid said, watching her. Then softer, "Tell me your story." Ogechi told her everything, from the accident that killed her parents to the day her aunt framed her. She told her how Chizoba had shouted, how the villagers had dragged her out without listening, and how they had threatened to burn her if they caught her. When Ogechi finished, the goddess smiled a little. "How cruel," she said. "Now we will have to make them pay." "Yes," Ogechi whispered. "I want them to pay, especially my auntie." "Then follow me," the goddess said. Ogechi followed her deep into the river. She walked into a place where light turned green and silver. There she saw other mermaids singing and dancing in the water. They were not gentle brides of stories. They were vengeful mermaids. People came to their sacred river when they wanted revenge, the goddess told her. But the mermaids always asked for a price. They fed Ogechi and cared for her. They gave her clean clothes and warm food. They stayed with her and taught her in small ways. For 15 years, the mermaid sheltered her. Ogechi healed. She grew taller, stronger and wiser. She came to know the mermaids as sisters. Then it was time for the revenge. The river goddess called her. Ogechi answered. "Apples are rare fruits in Umoma village." The goddess told her. "Only a few people sell them, and they sell for a high price. Are you ready for this revenge?" "Yes, river goddess. I have never been more ready in my life," Ogechi said. The goddess brought out a basket filled with big red apples. "You will take these apples to Umoma," she said. "Open a stall and sell them to the villagers, but sell them very cheap." Ogechi listened as the goddess gave her the plan. Every morning, baskets of apples would be delivered to you. You would sell them in the village at low prices, so everyone would eat. When they eat, something terrible will happen. Their spirits will be bound to this river. I will get what I want, and you, Ogechi, would have your revenge. And as for your auntie," the goddess said softly, "I have a special plan for her and her family." Ogechi laughed out loud, a small shocked laugh that came from the place inside her that had once been only sorrow. "Thank you, river goddess. I'll do as you have instructed," she said. She stood at the edge of the water and looked back at the mermaids, at the river that had taken 15 years of her life and given her a new one. The village of Umoma lay ahead, full of the people who had betrayed her, the apples in her hands, and a plan in her heart. What she would sell them would taste like sweetness at first. What it would carry inside would be the river's claim. And so, Ogechi began her walk back toward the village, no longer the frightened orphan who had been thrown out, but a woman with a river's pearl waiting on her tongue. 15 years had passed. Ogechi returned to Umoma, but she was not the girl they remembered. 15 years is a long time. It had changed her. She was taller, quieter, and beautiful in a different way. A cold calm had grown in her eyes. Her heart was now full of revenge and hatred. She found a good place to stay and settled. No one recognized her. She opened a small stall and placed big shiny red apples on the table. They looked perfect, bright, heavy, irresistible. A woman walking to the market for foodstuffs stopped when she saw the apples. The fruit pulled at her like a magnet. She crossed the space and asked, "How much?" When Ogechi told her the price, the woman stared in shock. "Isn't this the same apple that other sellers sell for a huge sum? Why are you selling it so cheap?" Ogechi smiled quietly. "I get them from a special place." "Okay, give me 5, the woman said. Ogechi handed her 5 apples. The woman could not wait to get home. She bit into one right there in the market. The taste was divine, sweet and pure. "Oh my God, this is so good," she cried. Ogechi only said, "I get it from a special place." Word spread fast. Villagers trooped to Ogechi's stall. Some could not even wait to get home. They ate the apples, standing in the market. Farmers, students, market women, and passerby all bit into the sweet flesh. Within hours, Ogechi had sold the entire basket. She felt a fierce joy she had never felt before. The regular market women, who had always sold apples, were stunned. They knew the price they paid for apples was high. Why was this stranger selling them so cheaply? They whispered and watched as Ogechi carried her empty basket home, smiling like a woman who had won. That evening, she cooked a sumptuous meal for herself. She ate slowly, savoring her victory. The next morning, a fresh basket of apples arrived at her door. She felt excitement like a young trader, and then went to the market. Within 2 hours, the whole basket was gone. Day after day, the same thing happened. People lined up, waiting for her store to open. The apples were sold almost before they arrived. The villagers loved them. While this was happening, something strange and terrible began to touch Chizoba's house. Chief Obidike fell ill. He was sick in a way no one could explain. Even with all his money, no doctor could find what was wrong. He was taken to the hospital. The doctors ran tests. 2 days later, he died. After the burial, Chief Obidike's brothers arrived. They took his properties, everything he owned. They left Chizoba and her children with almost nothing. In only a few days, they were forced out of the comfortable life they once had. Chizoba cried and screamed, but no one helped. She had no one. When Ogechi heard the news, she felt a cold joy inside. That night, as she slept, the river goddess appeared to her. "Ogechi, my daughter," the goddess said, "you are doing well. The villagers seem to like our precious apples, don't they?" Ogechi laughed. Then a sharp crew sound. "Yes, river goddess. They enjoy our apples quite well, and they shall continue to do so." The river goddess cottoned. The goddess's face went grave, and then a special basket from the water appeared on her hands. "This set is for your auntie and her children. Go and console them for the death of their husband and father. Give them these apples." Ogechi took the basket in her hands. The goddess's voice filled the room, cold and clear. "When they eat, they shall suffer. That is the price." The goddess laughed, a chilling, echoing sound. And then she was gone. The next morning, a fresh basket of apples waited at Ogechi's house. She took the basket meant for Chizoba and walked to the house where she had once been treated like a slave. She went to them and put on a mask of sympathy. "I'm so sorry for your loss," she said with practiced softness. She handed Chizoba the basket. Chizoba did not recognize Ogechi. She only saw a stranger who had come to console her. She accepted the gift and thanked the woman. Ogechi left with a small smirk. After Chizoba and her children ate the apples, they grew gravely ill. The sickness was slow and cruel. For over 2 months, they suffered without any doctor discovering the cause. The doctors scratched their heads. Tests could not explain it. Their strength faded day by day. Then, after a final rapid decline, they died. One by one, their chapter ended. Before Chizoba took her last breath, Ogechi came one final time. She stood by the deathbed, calm and cold. Chizoba, weak and gasping, tried to speak. "Ogechi, is that really you?" she croaked. "Yes, auntie, it is me. Ogechi, the girl you framed years ago," Ogechi said, voice steady. Chizoba's voice was small. "Ogechi, please forgive me. I was jealous of your mother. I let my jealousy take hold. I am sorry. Please, I don't want to die. My children didn't do anything. Please." Ogechi looked down at her aunt. The years of pain flashed behind her eyes. "You want me to forgive you?" she asked quietly. "Isn't it a little too late for that?" "You must forgive them," Chizoba pleaded. "My children, please." "These children hurt me even more." Ogechi's voice was cold. "They were part of the cruelty. They will pay with their lives." Chizoba sobbed. "No, please, I'm sorry." Ogechi cut her off. You have suffered enough of your own making. It is time to end your misery. You will not be forgiven. She left the room with a satisfied smirk and walked away. Soon after, something even stranger began to spread through Umuoma. At first, only a few people noticed it. A little blurriness in the morning, a small fog over the fields. Then the numbers grew. 10, 20, 30. People began to lose their eyesight. A woman would wake up and find out she could not see. A man on his way to the farm would suddenly be blind. A child would go to the market and hold out her hand and find nothing. The blindness started slowly, a passing blur, small spots, dimming colors. Then the blurriness deepened until darkness swallowed everything. Panic rose in the village. They went to doctors, priests, to elders. No one could explain why this was happening. Yet, every day, more people fell under the same fate, one by one, until whole families were stumbling in the dark. All the while, the apples continued to be bought and eaten. The villagers loved the taste. They did not suspect that each apple carried a piece of their sight, a piece of their eyes bound to the river. They ate sweetness and lost light. Unknown to the villagers, what they were eating as apples were their own eyes. If only they knew what they were eating. If only they knew the apples were taking more than their hunger. The apples never stopped coming, and the blindness never stopped spreading. Men, women, and children woke up each day to darkness. Almost the entire village of Umuoma was blind now, and still they could not understand why. Even the king was terrified. He summoned native doctors from far and near, but none could explain the mystery. Their charms failed. Their herbs changed nothing. The once lively village had become a land of shadows and cries. In those days, there lived an old seer named Mama Lama. She was blind too, but everyone knew her sight was not of the eyes. She could see beyond flesh. When the blindness first began, she had tried to look into the matter, but she saw nothing. The power covering the truth was too strong. Now, after many sacrifices and sleepless nights, the veil lifted. She took her staff and went straight to the palace. The guards helped her before the throne. "My king," she began, her voice slow and rough. "Someone in this village has brought this curse." She came for revenge. Revenge for what was done 15 years ago. The king leaned forward. "What are you saying, Mama Lama?" "Her name is Ogechi," the old woman said. "The one who sells apple in the markets. She's feeding us a cursed fruit." "Those weren't apples she sold, my king. They were the eyes of your own people, plucked, polished, and cursed to sweetness. The apples are from the river goddess of Njali River. She must be stopped before none of us will see the sun again." The king was shaking. "But how? She seems powerful. Who would dare to make such a pact?" Lamoloma sighed. She had no choice. You know what was done to her? She was treated with cruelty, cast out like a dog. In her sorrow, she went to Njali River, and the goddess took her in. That goddess feeds on hatred and revenge. Ogechi wanted revenge. The goddess wanted souls. Their bargain was sealed. Her soul was the price for vengeance. The seer continued, and she does not even know it. When the goddess is satisfied, Ogechi will be thrown away like dry leaves. The only hope is to reach her heart, to make her see that she's being used. Only then can the curse be broken. The king sat silent for a long time. Then he said softly, "How do we convince her?" Mama Oloma tapped her stick twice on the floor. "Leave it to me." She turned and walked out of the palace. Everyone knew she was no ordinary woman. Her gift had come when she was young, a vow of purity that left her blind so her spirit could remain clean. She was both seer and herbalist, bound to the spirit since birth. Far below, in the dark belly of Njali River, the river goddess seated. She had heard the seer's words carried by the wind. How dare that old woman try to reveal me? How dare she interfere? Her anger rolled through the water like thunder. I will make her pay. That night, Mama Oloma slept in her hut, candles still burning beside bowls of protective herbs. The goddess rose from the river and appeared at the doorway, her body glistening like wet moonlight, her eyes like two burning whirlpools. She lifted her hand to strike, but she could not. The air around the hut shimmered, a sacred shield. The old seer had already prepared it, chanting through the evening. The goddess hissed, clawed at the invisible wall and screamed. The sound shook the trees. "You dare!" she cried in agony, unable to cross the barrier. Her scream tore through the night until she vanished back into depths, her fury echoing like waves crashing against stone. In the river's chamber, she raged, turning whirlpools black. "That old woman thinks she can stop me. I will finish this once and for all." She appeared suddenly before Ogechi's bed, her voice booming. "Ogechi!" she roared. Ogechi jolted awake, heart pounding. "River goddess, what is happening? Why are you angry?" The river goddess's voice thundered through the room. "We must make a final strike." A large basket appeared beside Ogechi's bed, brimming with fresh shining apples. "Tomorrow morning," said the goddess, "take these to the village square. Share them freely. Do not sell. Give baskets to others. Let every house taste them. By midday, the whole villagers will eat, and I shall have my final revenge. That meddling old woman will not stop me." Ogechi stared, confused. She had never seen the goddess this furious, but she obeyed. She bowed her head. As she commanded, river goddess, the goddess disappeared, leaving the room cold and heavy. The apples gleamed red in the faint light. Sweet, beautiful and deadly, Ogechi sat there, trembling between loyalty and fear, not knowing that the dawn would bring a battle between truth and vengeance that would decide the fate of every soul in Umuoma. Early in the morning, before the market crowd could wake, Mama Lama walked to Ogechi's door. The air was cool and thin, with mist from the Njali River. Ogechi was surprised to see the old seer standing at her threshold. "What are you doing here, Mama Loma?" Ogechi asked, startled. The old woman stepped inside without fuss. "I have come to speak with you," she said. "May I have a few minutes?" Out of respect for her age, Ogechi offered a seat. The old woman sat, and her voice was soft but steady as she began. "Mama," Ogechi said, "what do you want?" Mama Oloma looked at her for a long time, then spoke the truth plainly. She told Ogechi who she was and what she had seen, how the river goddess of Njali had used Ogechi's pain and hatred as fuel. She told Ogechi that the goddess wanted revenge and that Ogechi had paid a terrible price. Her soul was bound to the river. When the goddess no longer needed her, she would cast her away like trash. If she continued, she would end up like the villagers, soulless and lost. Ogechi trembled. "No, that's not possible," she whispered. "I thought she helped me get justice." Mama Oloma closed her eyes and began a low chant. She hummed strange words and ground bitter herbs between her palms. Then she raised her hands and called on the spirit to show Ogechi the truth. The air changed. A vision came. Scenes of the goddess and the mermaid floating in their silver lights, the basket of apples, the link between the fruits and the river, the souls being pulled beneath the water. She saw the river goddess's plan, all her cruel plans. Ogechi wept. "I did not know," she cried. "I'm so sorry, Mama. But what they did to me, my auntie, the villagers, they turned my heart cold. They accused me and threw me out. How can I just let them live like that?" Mama Oloma reached out and took Ogechi's hands. Her voice was gentle but urgent. "You are still alive, my dear. There is time to undo what was done. But we must act fast. Let's go of hatred now, before it kills your soul. We will fight the goddess together." Ogechi's tears fell harder. She tried to forgive herself first, then the world. "I will do anything," she said. Mama Oloma gathered the whole villagers, carrying the basket of apples that the river goddess gave to Ogechi to share to the villagers. The air was thick. The villagers that were able to see murmured in confusion. "Behold, the sweetness that blinded you, the apples you so much craved for, were your very own eyes." A heavy silence falls, then gasps. One by one, the villagers staggered back. One blind woman screamed, trembling. My eyes are in there," she said, clutching her eyes. Another blind man screamed, covering his face. "No, that can't be. We ate our own eyes." Another woman from the crowd came forth, screaming, "Curse of our land! What abomination is this?" Mama Oloma tips the basket over. Apples roll across the dusty ground, and as they hit the earth, they blink. The crowd shrieks. Mama Oloma began. "There is no need for panic, my people. Something will be done to cleanse this land for all the atrocities committed. Do not blame the apple seller. She wasn't at fault. She turned and left, leaving everyone in shock and terror. Mama Lama began the walk. She walked to the Njali River and made cleansing sacrifices there. Smoke of bitter herbs, songs to call back stolen sites, and prayers to the earth and sky. She moved through the village telling the elders what must be done. The people, empty-eyed and frightened, listened because they trusted her. A feast was prepared that evening for the whole villagers. Everyone ate and danced as Mama Lama had instructed. People sang to the river for mercy and for protection from its wrath. For a few hours, laughter and music filled the village, a fragile joy in the shadow of their blindness. Then Mama Lama gathered the villagers in the square. Her voice cut clean through the night air. She told them the only way to break the curse completely was to give up something from their body, to show with blood that they were willing to sacrifice for one another. Every person would add a pinch of their blood into a clay ball. It was not to harm. It was to bind them together and to call the river's hold into the open. Hands trembled, but they obeyed. Old men, mothers, children, all placed a small pinch of blood into the bowl. They mixed the red into the clay with reverent fingers. Mama Lama blessed the mixture with smoke and song until it steamed like a new earth. There is one more thing, Mama Lama said. A pure soul, a young virgin girl, must carry this bowl and pour it into Njale River. The river will fight us. The goddess will try to stop it, but if the ball breaks upon her waters, the spell will be broken. A hush fell. Many looked at each other. At last, a young girl stepped forward. She came from a family who had lost sight early, but had sunk through the worst. She was small, but her eyes were bright with a courage that had nothing to do with vision. She took the clay bowl with both hands, and the whole village followed behind. They walked in silence to the river bank. The Njali River flowed as always, silver, smooth, patient. The mermaids watched from the depths, their faces like moonlight. The goddess rose, her anger a storm over the water, hissing threats and promises. "You will not touch me," she roared. Mama Lama chanted. The villagers joined, their voices like a tide. The young girl took a step forward. For a moment, the goddess struck the water with furious hands. Waves crashed. The villagers shivered with fear, but the girl did not stop. She lifted the clay bowl and poured the mixed blood into the river. The water shivered. The goddess screamed, a terrible sound like breaking glass and waves. She thrashed and crashed, and for a moment, the sky seemed to fall. The river boiled like a wound, then folded in on itself. The goddess's body convulsed, and with a final piercing scream, she vanished into the depths, pulled down by the very water she had trusted. When the river stilled, a hush fell over Umuoma. The air felt washed clean. Slowly, one by one, the blind touched their faces. The blurriness melted. Color returned like sunrise. People gasped and cried as sight came back to their eyes. They turned to Mama Lama, then to Ogechi. Shame and gratitude fought on every face. The villagers came forward, hands trembling, voices full of apology. "Ogechi," the elders said, weeping, "we were wrong. We did not give you a chance to speak. Forgive us, please." Ogechi stood quiet for a long time. The river had given her power and a choice, revenge or mercy. Now, seeing the hands that had once flung her away, she felt something open and warm where hatred had lived. She stepped forward and took their hands. Her voice was low but clear. "I forgive you," she said. The villagers wept. Forgiveness relaxed something old and bitter in their hearts. Peace came back like a tide. 2 months later, the village celebrated another kind of joy. Ogechi, now free of the river's hold and with her soul whole again, was asked to marry the prince of the village, a kind man who had watched her from afar and had seen her strength. They wed with drums, laughter, and river blessings. The people danced until the stars faded. Ogechi walked into that new life with quiet grace. She had been wronged, taken in by a goddess, and used for a terrible plan, but she had chosen mercy in the end. She lived happily, not because life had been easy, but because light had returned, truth had been spoken, and the villagers had remembered how to see. Thank you all so much for watching. Your support means the world to me. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe for more amazing stories. See you in the next one. Bye.